You want me to start?
Good morning. My name is Pete Jinks, and I'm fortunate enough to be the principal of Springdale High School and get to work with some wonderful students and teachers at this school. It is my honor to welcome Governor Hutchinson back to Springdale High School. I say back to Springdale High School because you may not know it, but he is a proud graduate of Springdale High School from the class of 1968. So let's welcome him back. To introduce the governor, it's my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce a gentleman who has been the driving force for the culture of excellence that defines the Springdale school system. For over 30 years, Dr. Jim Rollins has served this community and this school district with a passion and commitment that is too great for mere words. Please show your appreciation and applause for the superintendent of Springdale Public Schools, Dr. Jim Rollins, who will introduce our governor.
Thank you, sir.
This is a great view. It's always good to stand here in front of you. I'm so very proud of you students. I know we've got many teachers in the room today. We have one of the finest teaching faculties that I've ever been aware of. And recognize our teachers. Will you do that for me? This is a very special day. It is an honor to have the governor of Arkansas here with us. Mr. Jinks has already told you, you did hear that Governor Hutchinson graduated from Springdale High School in 1968. We had a great few minutes prior to coming on stage. Mr. Jinks had the annual for the graduating class, and the governor was enjoying, I think, every moment of that, just like we want you to as you complete your work here at the school. In his distinguished career, Governor Hutchinson has served as United States Attorney for the Western District of Arkansas. He's also served in the United States House of Representatives. He's been head of the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. He's worked in the Homeland Security Division, the largest division of Homeland Security in the Border and Transportation Security Division. He was elected governor just a few months ago. Governor Hutchinson is the 46th governor of our great state. I'll just tell you a personal story, and I know many personal stories will be written in the days ahead. But if you can imagine going through a campaign and winning the race, if you will, becoming governor of the state of Arkansas, all of the demands that possibly could have been placed on you immediately after that election, it was such a touching thing that Governor Hutchinson remembered a commitment he had made prior to the race, and he came to Springdale and he addressed in the Veterans Day Assembly the veterans that we were honoring there that day. I had an opportunity, Governor, to visit, as you did, with so many of those men and women, and they were so appreciative of you making that a priority. It meant the world to them. And I would tell you, on a personal note, it meant a great deal to all of us who were there that day. That's the kind of caring individual who has assumed the leadership in our state now. I would tell you also that even prior to the decision on election night, et cetera, the governor had some real important things in mind in regard to things he'd really like to see made available to each of you and to the 475,000 students in our state. And he came to Springdale to help share that story. So in a news conference in our administration building prior to the election, he talked about his desire for the kids of the state to have more opportunities, more exposure, more training in technology, because he understood what an important learning experience that was and how that might help set the stage for each of you to have an even greater future. And again, the fact that he chose to do that here was very special, and we thank you for that as well. He maintained his strong focus on preparing Arkansas students to be more technologically literate as he led the Arkansas General Assembly, the 90th General Assembly, to pass Act 187, which creates in state law these opportunities that I'm speaking to. Governor Hutchinson's vision for instructional technology preparedness is consistent with many other national authorities as they look at progressive educational change. The noted author Thomas Friedman, in his national best-selling book entitled The World is Flat, emphasized the need to prepare every student, again, to deal with the technology and the challenges of this technological age. We're all familiar with the term, schools should prepare our students to be more career ready, and we're about that every day, and I thank each of you for the work that you've done to take advantage of those opportunities. To become more college ready. Again, now let's add the third item, to be more technologically ready. I was in an audience with Friedman just a few short months ago, and he added another very important variable. And I know how focused each of you have been on that. And he talked about the need to be innovation ready. So career ready, college ready, technologically ready, innovation ready. Those are things that we hope that we're being a part of helping prepare each of you for the great potential and promise that you have. Friedman, and certainly our governor, understands that in this digital age, students from all over the world have opportunities for access to a quality education at a level they've never had before. And thus the title, The World is Flat, meaning that kids from all backgrounds, from any place in the world, because of the digital advantages they have, can be better prepared intellectually, educationally. What that really translates to is they're better prepared for jobs across the world. That's the arena that you're preparing for and the arena that you will compete in. Our governor is leading a state with enormous economic potential. However, to realize that potential, he understands that Arkansans must be better educated, that we need a workforce that is educated at the highest level, again, that's technologically, if you will, literate. And here's another very important variable, has a work ethic that is second to none. I want to tell you, as I close my remarks, that I think you have all those variables. You have all those attributes. Those qualities were addressed and validated by Springdale High School earning an A on the state report card. I am so proud of you. I know your principal and your teachers are so proud of you, and I can assure you our governor is proud of you. The only major high school in this part of the state to earn that rating. Give yourselves a hand. That is a phenomenal accomplishment. Students, teachers, administrators, and special guests, please help me welcome our governor, Asa Hutchinson.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Thank you, students. Thank you, Dr. Rollins, for your leadership, for your friendship, for your inspiration in terms of technology education. Pete, thank you for your leadership here as well. It's been good to visit with you and get to know all the good things that are happening at Springdale High. And it is a thrill for me to be back as governor of Arkansas, having graduated from Springdale High School. And there's a lesson here that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it's great opportunities that await you. But I want to talk to you about a particular topic today, and that is computer coding. And I call it computer coding because sometimes when you say the word computer science, you think about basic computer skills or Microsoft Word, and I'm speaking of the language of the computer, multiple languages of the computer coding. And so let me start off by asking a couple of questions. How many of you have taken a computer coding class and know how to computer code? All right, we've got a handful of them out there. Now, let me ask this question. How many of you, if it was offered and available to you, how many of you will consider a computer coding class during your high school years? All right. How many of you just aren't interested in it? Great. I love honesty. Well, I'm here to ask a favor of you as governor of Arkansas. We have changed the law, we have changed the opportunity, and we have actually mandated that computer science or computer coding be offered in every high school in Arkansas. Now, for many schools, that means for the first time ever, the students will have available a computer coding class. Now, Springdale is a leader, it's an innovator, and you have offered computer coding through career tech classes and some advanced placement classes, but it's still not as available as it should be, and so it's going to be expanded next year. And so it's a great opportunity for you, but we believe in choices in education. And so you're not mandated to take it. No one has to take computer coding. It is your choice. Now you contrast that to the United Kingdom, England, and other countries, including Hong Kong. They recognize how important computer coding skills are to their economic future, and they are mandating that their high school students and sometimes junior high students take computer coding classes. So we're not mandating it, but it's a choice for you, and I hope through the course of this that you will see that it's important and that you will consider it. And so let me give you a little bit of background. First of all, the reasons that it's important is that we want you to get a job. And there are going to be, between now and 2020, 1 million unfilled computer science or computer programming jobs in America. And guess what? We're either not going to be able to expand our businesses because we don't have the computer programmers, or we're going to have to bring them in from India or China or some other country that's focusing on that. But their job opportunities, 1 million unfilled jobs, and the beginning salary for a computer programmer is $60,000. That is just $3,000 less than a full engineer beginning salary. It is higher than most other beginning salary jobs. So it's a good individual salaried opportunity. But just as importantly, you have the opportunity to create your own path in life. Because you look at the Bill Gates of the world. I give you a whole host of examples of people who had a computer coding skill, they had a good imagination, and they saw a need in society, and they said, I've got as good a mind as anybody else. I can create this opportunity, and they become an entrepreneur, they create jobs, and they create their own path. So tremendous opportunities come from those computer coding knowledge skills. And it applies across the board. You might be sitting there thinking, well, I really want to be a doctor. I don't care much about that. Well, guess what? If you're a doctor, we're requiring electronic medical records to be utilized. And so the data of doctors, it is a computer world, and so coding skills is important in the medical profession. If you want to be a farmer, we measure the use of water in our agriculture by computer programs now to maximize the water resources of our nation. You look at leveling our rice fields in eastern Arkansas, you're doing it by GPS, you're doing it by computers, you're doing it by maximizing the soil, and it's all done by computers and programming. If you're looking in manufacturing, we use robotics. You have to program the computers for the robotics. All of these skills are important in whatever arena of life you go in. It's just like math, it's just like reading. It's basic skills that you need in whatever arena you go into. And so for those reasons, it's important. Now let me give you just a little bit of background as to my interest in this. As I was introduced, I was elected to Congress from Northwest Arkansas. And so I represented this area in Washington. President Bush, though, asked me to leave Congress and go join his administration. I did that first as head of the DEA, but that was 1 month before the 9/11 attack on our country. And when that happened, it changed everything, and the president then asked me to leave the DEA and go over to help set up the newly formed Department of Homeland Security, to be an undersecretary there to help protect our borders and our transportation systems from terrorist attack. That was my job. Now, I didn't have much of a background in that. I was in Congress, I'd been a lawyer, and all of a sudden I'm Undersecretary for Border and Transportation Security in a whole new arena in charge of 110,000 employees, from our border security to our transportation networks to our shipping lanes, to make sure we don't get attacked. So I'm with the President of the United States in the Situation Room in the West Wing of the White House, where you get the briefings on the latest terrorist threats from the CIA and the intelligence community. So President Bush is here, I'm next to him, we get the briefing, clear threat to our country. The President turns to me and he goes, "Asa, what are we doing about this?" And you just want to turn to the guy next to you and say, "John, what are we doing about this?" But John wasn't sitting beside me. I had to answer this question. And we did. We took on that responsibility, but you think about the challenge of that, because you have millions of people coming into our country, trains, airplanes, buses. How do you inspect these people? The terrorists only have to get it right once and sneak through. We have to be right 100% of the time. How about our shipping lanes, the cargo that's coming into our country? Do you inspect every cargo? You would clog up our lanes. You couldn't get shipments to the United States of America. How do we protect our country? What solution did we come up with to answer the President's question? The answer is data, technology, software, computer programming. That's how it fits in. That's when my eyes were open to information technology. And so for shipments, we demanded information on every shipment coming to the United States 24 hours in advance. The name of the shipper, what is being shipped, who is it going to? We would compare that data with what has happened in years past, and we would determine there's no risk for this shipment, we don't need to inspect it. Then others, we'd say, through our algorithms, through our rules of trying to check whether it's a risky shipment or not, we would determine and say that this needs to be opened up. There was one shipment that came from Hong Kong. It came into Portland, Oregon, to the port there. It was headed down to Costa Rica. It was a shipment of chilled trout. No risk to the United States, no big deal, but our software looked at the data, compared it to the historical data of those shippers, and said, there's something suspicious here, we need to check it out. One container out of 100, we open it up, and guess what? We don't find chilled trout. We found a shipment of illegal arms headed toward Central America. And so that's what technology does. It solves problems, it's data, it is software, it takes coding capability to address those problems. Now let me come back to what Dr. Rollins was talking about, which was the campaign. And it was here at Springdale High School that I announced as a candidate for governor a new initiative, and that was to put computer coding classes in every high school in Arkansas. Now think about that promise, because only 1 out of 10 high schools in America, not just in Arkansas, but in America, only 1 out of 10 even offer computer science classes. And I'm going to say we're going to put it in every high school in Arkansas. And I was inspired by my granddaughter, Ella Beth, who was 11 years old. She had a summer project with her dad that was trying to go to ibuildanapp.com and learn enough computer coding to make a fun computer game. Well, they got sidetracked and they learned enough computer code to actually build their papaw, me, a campaign app for my campaign that you could download. And I'm saying if my 11-year-old granddaughter can learn enough computer coding, why shouldn't every student in Arkansas have that opportunity? So we made a campaign ad featuring my granddaughter talking about girls can code, about the opportunities that are presented to girls and to young men and women in terms of computer coding and programming. We put that ad on television. It's probably the first time coding has ever been used in a political commercial all across America. But it actually helped to get me elected, that idea. It was a new idea in education. And so you take that idea, and then you get elected, and then you have the legislative session, and you present it to the legislature, and they adopt it, and they pass it. And so I'm able to sit in the governor's office with my granddaughter, Ella Beth, who's now 12, and see that law signed into law under the governor's signature. And so we made a mandate next year that every high school in Arkansas has to offer it, changing an idea into law through politics and government. I'm pretty excited about that. Now we've got to implement it. And so we're doing that, and that's why I'm going through many high schools in my computer coding tour. And this is the second school I'm going to. I'll be going to other schools across Arkansas, trying to encourage our high school students to take computer coding. Now, I want to tell you a couple more stories, and we're going to have a little bit of a video clip. But I mentioned the opportunities in coding. 8 years ago, I ran for governor and I lost. But I had a young man that worked for me, Chris Stewart is his name, and he looked at how campaigns raise money and how the systems work, and he said, this is not a good system. You know, we're taking credit card information where people are donating to the campaign online, but we're using the same system that your retailers use in credit card processing. So after the campaign was over with, he had this idea to start a new software business for processing credit cards, but it's totally geared toward a campaign. So he started a business in Little Rock, Arkansas called Raise the Money. Nice name. And he started marketing. So 8 years later, I'm running for governor again. He comes to me and says, hey, I got this idea. How about starting with your campaign? So I went with the Raise the Money software, credit card processing, but it was uniquely designed for a campaign that actually sent out a thank you immediately when someone did a credit card check and contribution online. We got other information from it that was unique for a campaign, and all of a sudden, this software idea, through computer coding of somebody who worked on a campaign, became a business that is growing, and now they've got Ted Cruz and Scott Walker all joining in this initiative. So it can be a good business. I was, before I got elected governor, with a major company down in Huntsville, Alabama that sold to defense contractors. We had a downturn in the defense industry. We were losing market share. And so we had a software engineer that went and got a 1990s geospatial software program off the shelf that couldn't sell anything in the 90s. He recoded it, put in some new applications for today, and it's a bestseller in the Department of Defense and geospatial technology. Ideas matter. The ability to computer code makes it a reality, and it's a great opportunity. And so that leads to this conclusion. As governor, you get excited about little things. And I got an interview by Wired Magazine out of New York. And they called up and said, Governor, we've got a question for you. Why is Arkansas leading the nation in a comprehensive computer science education program? Dr. Rollins, who cares about the answer? They asked the question, and it was a great question. And I just pause and absorb the moment, because Arkansas is leading. Because we put $5 million in this initiative, we've got leadership in the schools, we've got students that are capable and learning and wanting to do this, but the missing ingredient are students who are wanting to take this and learn this that will change the dynamics of our economy and opportunities in Arkansas. So with that, we're going to play a video, then I'm going to come back and wrap this up. So you got the video?
I was 13 when I first got access to a computer.
My parents bought me a Macintosh in 1984 when I was 8 years old.
I was in 6th grade.
I learned to code in college.
Freshman year, first semester, intro to computer science.
I wrote a program to play tic-tac-toe.
I think it was pretty humble beginnings. I think the first program I wrote asked things like, what's your favorite color? Or how old are you?
I first learned how to make a green circle and a red square appear on the screen.
The first time I actually had something come up and say, hello world, and I made a computer do that. It was just astonishing.
Learning how to program didn't start off as wanting to learn all of computer science or trying to master this discipline or anything like that. It just started off because I wanted to do this one simple thing. I wanted to make something that was fun for myself and my sisters. And I wrote this little program, and then basically just add a little bit to it. And then when I needed to learn something new, I looked it up, either in a book or on the internet, and then added a little bit to it.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something, or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned, and I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but what isn't?
A lot of the coding that people do is actually fairly simple. It's more about the process of breaking down problems than sort of coming up with complicated algorithms as people traditionally think about it.
You don't have to be a genius to know how to code. You need to be determined.
Addition, subtraction, that's about it.
You should probably know your multiplication tables.
You don't have to be a genius to code. Do you have to be a genius to read?
Even if you want to become a race car driver or play baseball or build a house, all of these things have been turned upside down by software.
What it is computers are everywhere. You want to work in agriculture? Do you want to work in entertainment? Do you want to work in manufacturing? It's just all over.
Here we are, 2013. We all depend on technology to communicate, to bank, information, and none of us know how to read and write code.
When I was in school, I was in this after-school group called the Whiz Kids, and when people found out, they laughed at me and all these things, and I'm like, man, I don't care. I think it's cool, and I'm learning a lot, and some of my friends have jobs.
Our policy is literally to hire as many talented engineers as we can find. The whole limit in the system is just that there just aren't enough people who are trained and have these skills today.
To get the very best people, we try to make the office as awesome as possible.
We have a fantastic chef,
Free food,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
free laundry.
Snacks, even places to play and video games and scooters. There's all these kind of interesting things around the office and places where people can play or relax or go to think or play music or be creative.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer programming is an incredibly empowering skill to learn.
I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands. I mean, I think we're the first generation in the world that's really ever had that kind of experience.
Just to think that, I mean, you can start something in your college dorm room, and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You know, you're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
I think it's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars. That's it.
They said it better than me, but let me come back to what I asked originally, and that is, how many of you will consider taking computer science class in high school in the coming years? How many of you will do that? Raise your hand. All right, I think we've grown a little bit, so that's great. Good progress. And so you have a choice under the SMART Core curriculum for 4 math classes, right? You're supposed to take 4 math classes, and that's great. But there's another option now, and that's 3 math classes and computer science. So education is about options. It's about choices. You have those. You have the power. I think as governor, this is very important to the future of our state. And because of your imagination, because of what you're getting in education and the opportunities it'll present, we can really change the economy of Arkansas. We can bring Silicon Valley right here. We can make sure that we have the opportunity to change society from Arkansas. It is for girls, it is for guys, it is for every type of person who has an interest in learning and making a difference. Thank you, students, for your incredible attention. Thank you, Springdale High.
Well, Governor, once again, we want to thank you for being here at Springdale High School again. Students, if you noticed in the video, they said 1 out of 10 schools in the United States offer computer coding classes. You're in one school that offers those classes. And so I'd highly encourage you to investigate that and to look into your options as far as computer coding goes. We're going to escort Governor Hutchinson to the building. I'd like you to remain seated as we walk out of the Pat Walker Theater, and then Mr. Eichenberger will be up here shortly to dismiss you to go back to your first period class to get your items. So, Governor.